Meg at Chasing Retro. Today I wanted to share with you the list of journals that I would love to make. This is a very ongoing list. It is not exhaustive. It's constantly changing. I'm always adding new things to it. But I just thought I'd show you the rough sketch that I put together about a month ago of what I wanted to try to do maybe in the next year and a half or so. I'm trying to be realistic. Honestly, this is probably going to be like a 3-year list. But this is just I use a Moleskine daily planner every year. I love them. The paper quality is excellent. I've tried lots of other things and I always come back to these. But so I was just sitting in the car one day waiting on my kids to come out of an event, and I started just writing down everything. And so I'll go through this list with you. This might be a little boring unless you're one of the people that were super interested in hearing about my list. I have a little bit of a visual for you right here. This is, it's called a color cube. I have never seen these before. My husband ordered one from Amazon, I think. He leads innovation and creativity team, and he likes to have sort of manipulatives on the table for people to reach for, grab, and play with instead of, instinctively reaching for their phones. And it actually works out pretty well. But when I saw him unbox this, I said, I'm gonna need to borrow that for a little while just because it's mesmerizing to me and I love to play with it. And so I'm probably gonna have to get one for myself so I can give his back. So this is called a color cube if you would like to get one. So the first thing that I wrote down was Studio Lou's tutorial for a file folder journal. Now, I actually won a journal made from this tutorial that Mimi's Keepsakes made. I won it last year. I'm so excited. But basically, it's a very eclectic journal. And Studio Lou has a playlist where you can follow along and make your own with her. And that is one of the things I would love to do, just because she sort of expands you into new techniques and ideas that you may not have tried before. You have creativity freedom, but you also have some parameters. And I think it'd be a fun personal challenge to do. At the end of that one, I'll have to decide if I want to keep it or sell it. Of course, strawberry journals, and that's probably next on my list. I have a pile behind me of things that will go in this. I don't know how many I'll be able to make. That's to be determined, but I love strawberries. I love all things strawberry. I love the character strawberry shortcake, and I love the 80s strawberry vibe that you see coming back now. And I just love the colors together, red, green, and pink. So that will be definitely coming up. I have a baby journal as a list on my list of things to try. I want to do vintage baby, and I don't have a whole lot right now for that, but I probably have enough for one. So that will probably be one that I make, and if someone has a baby or a grandbaby coming, they can message me and reserve it and maybe customize it just a little bit for their new arrival. Asian or Japanese. This one I've always loved the Japanese culture, and I think it'd be really beautiful to make a Japanese themed junk journal. Again, this is probably way far in the future because I have very little right now to go in it, but I wanted to make note of that. Tropical, Hawaiian, and beach, and also summer for like a general summer. So these are also probably quickly following after my strawberry journals. I will be doing some tropical Hawaiian, think vintage Annette Funicello, beach blanket bingo, that kind of thing. Lots of tropical colors, but a very vintage vibe to them. I've been collecting hardcover young adult books from the 50s and 60s to use, and I'm excited about that one. And then the summer one will be just a general summer. It could be like a book that you take on your vacation. Giraffe, that's kind of funny, but I do love giraffes, and one of these days I'm going to use the folder of ephemera that I have to make a giraffe-themed journal. Of course, sewing journals. I will always come back to these. every few months, I probably need to just go ahead and, I'm going to put my glasses on. I need to go ahead and just make a few more. I usually make the single signature soft covers using the sewing patterns as a base, but I would like to also do a very large hardbound multi-signature sewing journal for the true sewing enthusiast out there who would love to have something like that. Retro and 50s, so the decade would be my only limitation in this, and there's just so many wonderful things that you could put in a journal like this. Lace Covered Skies on YouTube makes gorgeous 50s themed journals. You should go check her out and look at what she's created. She's my main inspiration in this area. Housekeeping, Housewife, and Homebody. The first time I ever thought about this was when Diane at Pretty Pink Cottage did this, and I immediately fell in love with it. I'm pretty much a homebody myself. I love home. I've been that way since I was a kid. My mom and my grandma both were, for the most part, housewives and stayed home, and my family's always been very home-centric. And so I love all things home, you know, sewing, cooking, gardening, just, you know, the things that make you feel cozy. And then also houses journals, and I think Diane made one of these as well. So I've seen other people make journals on the theme of windows or doors, but I'd probably just do a general houses one, and then I could incorporate house plans and architectural type elements, which I love also. Garden and botanical, not one of my favorite themes, but I know that a lot of people love this, and it is honestly a very beautiful journal. If you make a garden and botanical journals, just so much color. A handyman journal. I have one of the handyman binders by Better Homes and Gardens, and I kind of put that on the back burner, but one of these days I will be making a handyman journal. And along the same lines, a recipe binder using some of the vintage Better Homes and Gardens and Betty Crocker binders. I'm going to make one for myself, for my family, but I'll also make some to sell. A prayer book and a scripture Bible themed journal. I've done these in the past. They seem to be very well received. I have a ton of fodder that will go in these, and I just received some more in Happy Mail. You might have seen that video. So I love doing this. And what the great thing about this is you can have a Bible themed journal that's also garden themed or also floral themed. So I will be doing more of those as well. Boats and nautical, and I know this is somewhat of a niche, but I do, for some reason, have a lot of ephemera that have to do with boats. So I'll be doing one of these. Scotland themed, I have some ephemera that I'd love to put into a Scotland themed journal. Not that I'm planning a trip there anytime soon. I would love to go, but that is on my bucket list to do one day. My dad plays the bagpipes, if anyone is curious, so our Scottish blood goes deep, I guess you could say. Glue book. I would love to make a glue book, a personal one and ones to sell. Growing up in high school, I love to make collages where I just cut magazine images out and put them on a sheet. So here's a whole book that you can do that, and that's really fun. Okay, so naked journals and sketchbooks. I love using vintage books and then just putting blank pages inside. So that would be something that would be relatively inexpensive that I could put together and put in my shop for those of you who like to draw or who don't want all of the extra embellishments like tags. Eclectic journals using children's readers as covers. I've done a couple of these. They sold very fast, and they're fun. I love the look of old readers. I think they're all the way back to the early 1900s, all the way to the 70s. The covers are always just so interesting. Fabric covered eclectic journals. I would do both regular fabric and vintage sheets. I did a selection of 5, I think, made with vintage sheets last fall, and they were very well received. And I have a ton more sheets and 2 giant totes of fabric that are just begging for me to use them in other ways. A childhood themed journal. And so this is just anything childhood, anything that has to do with being a kid. and that's very open-ended. A slumber party, retro beauty, and hair. I think that would be so fun. Again, probably slanted more toward 50s and 60s, but you know, a lot of pink and aqua and maybe some gray and black. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for that. I don't know if you guys, when you think about a theme, do the colors that you want to use just automatically just pop up in front of your brain? Because it does that for me. When I think of retro beauty and slumber party, I think about hot pink and aqua. I don't know why. I would love to do a fictitious story journal. So sort of like, almost like a junk journaler's way of writing a novel. So you would take a fictitious character that you make up, and you pick a part of the world where they live and a decade where you want to focus on, and you make a journal that would have looked like something that they wrote and put things in. And this would not be a journal for consuming. This would probably just be a keepsake or coffee table type book. I would love to do more 70s or 80s journals. I've done those in the past. The 80s journals are a little more challenging. Any type of 80s ephemera, if you can find it, it is always pricey, because I feel like that people, kids that are my kids' age, high school and college, they're loving the 80s. And so if you can find something from the 80s, like Strawberry Shortcake or 80s Mickey Mouse, you're going to pay up for it. So this is, you know, I've made a couple of these that had copies of things that were copywritten, and I gave them away. That's allowed, but selling them is another story. So this is kind of like up in the air. I don't know. We'll see. It would be nice if, I do have a lot of hardback 80s children's book covers that I would love to use as the base for that. I would love to do a Heidi, Bavarian, or Alps themed junk journal. I love the colors. I love the story Heidi. I think it'd be beautiful. Sunflowers. This is sort of an homage to my grandmother. Sunflowers were one of her favorite flowers. And again, it's just one of those things where I feel like every time I open a book, I see an image of a sunflower. So I've been stashing those away in a folder. A true junk journal. Have you guys seen where people will actually take trash and make a journal? So junk mail, product packaging, and some of the product packaging, you know, is so bold and beautiful, and a lot of it looks very retro. Lots of different interesting materials, not just cardboard and paper, but also like a mylar type thing. Trying to incorporate all of that would be so fun. Lace Covered Skies also did a couple of those if you want to check that out. I love color themes. I have enough probably to do another pink and blue journal, but I also would like to add other colors like red, purple, and neutrals. I probably won't venture to do any of these until I have one green and one yellow journal still in my shop. So once those two sell, I will probably start thinking about other colors. A rain theme journal. Well, guess what? I just did those and it was fun, but I'm keeping it on the list because I will be doing them again. Art Deco 1920s. Think Great Gatsby. Very glitzy, glamorous. I have a lot of wallpaper books actually that would have perfect paper for these. And then for my birthday, my mom got me these little paper cutouts, and a lot of these are very 1920s, and I love them. So okay, 1940s World War II. So again, I don't have a lot of ephemera for this decade, but I am slowly accruing some. It'd just be a really neat homage to the men and women in our armed forces and the women who kept the fires burning at home. I think that would be neat. A Jewish themed junk journal. I love Jewish culture. I love Israel. I would love to make a journal that has a lot of Hebrew in it and Jewish cultural items. And, you know, it's perfect. I would just love to have a journal like that. And my husband was fortunate enough to visit Israel about 4 years ago, and So anyone that's been able to do that would probably love to have a place to put their photos and their memories. Spring and Easter, so I missed that train for this year, but maybe next year. That's probably one of the thickest folders I have in my file. I have tons of spring and Easter ephemera. Americana, patriotic U.S. history. Correspondence themed, so written communication arts. I have no idea if this was my own idea or if I saw it somewhere. But just a journal that would be sort of an homage to handwritten letters and telegrams and stuff like that. So I don't know. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. I'm kind of fleshing that one out as I go along. A Happy Mail binder. Anytime I get Happy Mail, I'll use the cover of a card or whatever, and then I'll save the handwritten part. And I would love to be able to collect it and put it in one spot. So that would be a personal. I have a friend that has asked if I would make an Alice in Wonderland theme journal, and I will probably do that. So I added this to the list so I'd remember. And there is a ton of stuff on this on Etsy, by the way, digitals galore. Princess royalty theme. Since I'm sort of moving away from any dreams of doing Disney journals, I still have a lot of Disney princess items, and so I could use those in a just general royalty theme journal. I love to make little golden book journals, and I would like to make more, both themed and just non-themed or eclectic ones. Vintage retail. Love vintage retail. And this would also be sort of a creative challenge for me. Like, how do I make this work with the little bit that I have? Again, acquiring some of this stuff can really add up. So old price tags, signage from stores, ledgers, cash books, product catalogs, things like that. Retro school days. So basically going back to the 40s, 50s, 60s with the children images, but make it all focused on school, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So I think that would be super fun and probably perfect for going back to school in the fall when you have maybe a kindergartner starting out in their 12-year journey. And then last but not least, oh my goodness, I just realized I wrote this twice. More LGBs, little golden books. So obviously I really want to do that if I wrote it on there twice. My memory can be short sometimes. So this is what I have it in right now, but I received this from Gravy, and it is just a traveler's notebook that you can take these inserts in and out. And I thought about transitioning this plus I have a very small field notes journal that I also have more ideas written in. And I really need to just centralize all of my ideas and everything in one spot. And this also could be something I can put in my purse and take with me. So this is my list of journals. If you've watched my tour of my craft room, you've seen that I have a file folder drawer in my main work desk, and that is where I have all the folders. I don't have a folder for all of these. I probably have a folder for 15 or 17 of them. And whenever I see something in a book, when I'm sourcing for another journal, I'll tear that out and throw it in the right folder. So that's kind of how I stay organized. I like to refer to this list often and sort of place these in a hierarchy of what I want to do next. I try to always keep 3 ahead in my brain, so I will be able to gear myself into, okay, I need to start thinking strawberry, and then right after that, I need to start thinking about tropical. So I hope this has helped y'all. I hope this has given y'all some ideas of journals that you may want to do. If you have any ideas to share with us on how to find some of the items that would go in some of these themes, maybe at a cheaper price, I'm sure all of us would love to hear. We're all about helping each other save money and save time, so that would be cool if we could share our ideas on how to get some of this for cheap or for free. So I think that just makes a junk journal more fun, is the hunt for things that don't cost a lot. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope all of you are enjoying your afternoon. And coming up tomorrow will be a pretty epic estate sale and yard sale haul, so you will not want to miss that. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.